Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another beautiful Monday with us on Live with Lloyd. I am your host, Astro-Numerologist Lloyd Strayhorn. And as you see, I have a repeat guest, Reverend Brandon Smith, my buddy, my brother, my baby brother, I call him. And it's just very, very nice. This is family. He's going to be talking about quite a few things that he's going to be discussing, the healing, meditation. And we're also going to do readings. When he's on, we always have to get in your business and see what's going on. So please do that. But before we do that, let me tell you, our sponsors is Nicholas Brooklyn. I want to thank them. I was out there yesterday with Brother Kaba and Professor James Small. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. As I said, I wish you were there. It was very lengthy. Also being sponsored by Jazz Aphrodite. Her classes are on sale. There's some other items that I'll be doing at the end of the show that she's providing. Sponsor King Simon. He has an event coming up on the 11th of next month, and he always does a master class, so he is very good. Also, Manifest on Purpose with Miss Kimberly, who does a podcast every Monday and Wednesday. And of course, Visit Islam and his wonderful nutritional products. And you got to do is just click the QR code and you will get 10% discount. And so before I bring Brandon on, let me do the cosmic forecast for today. It is Monday. It is December the 16th. This month is almost over, and 2025 is looking us right in the face. The sun is in Sagittarius. The moon is in Cancer. It's an 11 universal month, a 5 universal week, a 9 universal day. Aries, Scorpio, and Leo. If you're out in the audience, this is your day, or anyone born on the 9th, the 18th, or the 27th of the month. So without that, I want to bring on my baby brother. That's why I refer to him as, because I got a lot of brothers now, Brandon, how you doing, man?
Brother Lloyd. Oh man, it's so great to be back. Thank you for you just said, my big brother. Thank you for bringing us back in. I see that the family is expanding.
Hey, I'm in the family. What did I tell you?
listen, I want all of my metaphysical siblings to know that I'm not the selfish sibling. I don't mind sharing my brother. Just don't take a ball this time.
That's right. Brandon, how you doing? What you been up to, man?
Oh man, Lloyd. So this year, I've been doing as I've been on the show a couple of times. I've talked about the forgiveness challenge that I was really working through this entire year. And man, we're in the last month. Matter of fact, I think we're down to the last maybe last 2 weeks, 15 days or so. And what we set out the goal to do. Well, the topic of the challenge is called the Forgive 70 times 7 challenge. And so we looked at how to complete, 70 times 7 is 490, how to complete 490 forgiveness exercises within a span of 366 days. And so we're now in the last month. Each month had a theme. So like for the month of, I think that was for the month of when we started in January, we were dealing with self-forgiveness. For the month of February, I think we were dealing like forgiving family and friends. March, we did forgiveness around friends and acquaintances. And then April, we did, I think that was forgiving them like persons, places, no, strangers and enemies. In May, we did places and events. June was around forgiving finances. July, we did forgiveness around health. August, we did forgiveness around limiting beliefs. September was around traumatic events. October was around fears. And then for November, we did a month where we just focused on utilizing reflection and gratitude and how to utilize that as a tool of forgiveness, whether it was for self-forgiveness, forgiving others. Because really those energies of gratitude and those energies of forgiveness, that's really the magic or the special sauce, if you will, to be able to kind of be able to break through some of those challenging and difficult moments. And so what we did for the month of, or what we're doing for the month of December, is this is kind of like our forgiveness intensive. So every day has a theme, and we have like a journaling exercise. There's a gratitude exercise throughout the day. There's a some sort of forgiveness act, whether it's through using affirmations, using visualizations, using journaling, um, using universal prayers. And then at the end of each day, there's a reflection period where you're able to kind of like do reflection of your day, of like what were the good things that you accomplished, what were the positive traits about yourself, and then look at what are some of the areas that you could improve on. And then after, you've done that reflection, you visualize yourself improving in those areas the next day, so that way you're not necessarily beating yourself up for the mistakes that you made yesterday, but you can focus on making today a new opportunity and moving forward with a clean slate. And so that's really what I've been up to. We've had I think about 30 or so members throughout the year. We've done weekly meditations, man. It's really been engaging. I've gotten quite a few people from being on your show. There's
Yeah.
Matter of fact, one of my good friend, he's become a good friend and brother. He's in the chat as Divine Nine. He's created a slogan for me, which we'll talk about when we get to the healing work. But we've really become a family, and it's really great to be able to exchange and to share different ideas and techniques on how to forgive and how to be your best self.
Well, question, Brandon, of all of those areas of forgiveness, from self to family to enemies to finances, of those series, which was the most challenging for the group? To forgive oneself, especially the enemies. I don't know what it is about the enemies. It's hard to forgive the enemies or people that did something or stabbed you in your back. From your experience of doing this now for well over a year, what has been the most challenging in those areas? And what's been the least challenging? Like forgiving yourself, they've learned how to master that. But forgive those that stabbed them in the back or enemies. Well, it's going to be a minute to do that.
Well, man, that's a good question, and I would probably ask those who are in the challenge and that are watching to put what they think in the chat. So for me, Lloyd, what I think, and the way I designed the challenge is I intentionally put self-forgiveness first, because I know that self-forgiveness is usually the most difficult thing for people to do.
But that makes sense, because you got to start with yourself.
If you can't forgive yourself, you can't forgive others.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me.
So going through that, and I think now, where we are, looking back, different people had different struggles. There were some people who
that makes sense.
Dealing with people was fine, but when we got to the month of forgiveness around places and events, because we can go to places and we can spend a large quantity of our life there. Let's say, for example, if you're a member of a church or social organization and you've dedicated 20, 30, 40 years there, and then all of a sudden you go through this experience at that particular place, or there's an event that happens and automatically you're traumatized, you have this bad taste in your mouth, and you kind of resolve, I'm never going to that place again, or I'll never go to an event like that again, or there's like this kind of blockage that we develop, and we can really block ourselves out of opportunities just by not going through, by holding on to some of those old energies. So it varies for people. I would say even the forgiveness around finances, because we had to look at,
really, that's interesting.
But we had to look at finances differently. Because it wasn't just about money, but it was about seeing like the sense of value, the value in others, the value in self. Because usually our attitude around money is a reflection of our attitude around of how we view ourselves and how we value ourselves. That sense of self-value. But what I did notice is that every month with every theme, I always incorporated self-forgiveness into it. So if we were doing forgiveness around health, I incorporated the self. If we were doing forgiveness around finances, I incorporated the self. So I guess the long way around the bush to say it, I think for me at least, it would be the self-forgiveness. then followed by family, because those are the wounds that tend to hurt the most.
Yeah,
Forgiveness, family and
yeah.
friend.
So you mean like those that are very close to you that can sometimes hurt you or discourage you? Is that what you're saying?
It could come in various forms. You could have family members who are, abusive, whether it's physically, verbally, emotionally,
Mm-hmm.
sexually. You can have family members who don't believe in your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, or who try to, dumb you down every time you come up with a new idea. Or let's say
Mm-hmm.
if you're a poor person and your family wants you to do everything the way that it's always been done, and you decide, bump that, I'm gonna do it my own way. There's this, this clashing or this war, and there can be a real sense of like self-doubt and self-depreciation, um when those who nurtured you and watched you grow up and said that they love you and they support you no matter what, when they tend to turn a different way, or they kind of act differently, or they hurt us, or they betray us, or whatever the case may be.
Are you going to have another forgiveness cycle for 2025? This one is, I guess, over in that sense. Are you going to be starting the cycle all over again? So the Live with Lloyd family, those who haven't had, can join in and maybe
Yeah.
start working on themselves. I think it's a great way to start off the year, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so that was something that I thought about, and I'll be honest with you, Lloyd, I've had to sit down and do some replanning, some restructuring, because I started out where like I was doing daily posts, writing these long pontifications of inspirations and quotes and all this stuff. And
Mhm.
round about month number 2.5, 3 months, my brain said, bruh, it's only but so long that we can keep this up by ourselves. And
Yeah.
so, with this nucleus group that has been with us for the last year, we're looking at kind of creating a think tank of sorts of how to best do it, for the year 2025. So there will be a forgiveness challenge for the year. I'm going to move it to a platform that's going to be kind of like a self-learned kind of class. We'll still have the weekly meditations. There'll be monthly newsletters. We do pop-up events. So literally, like I think on Sunday when we had the full moon, yesterday. So last,
Yesterday, exactly
yeah,
right. That's
yeah.
right.
So
The
yeah,
last
so
full
last
moon of the
night
year.
we did a pop-up meditation for the full moon. One day, I think last week we did a pop-up meditation for self-healing. I do group healings every week for everyone that's in the group, so a lot of those things will still be in place. We're just looking at making the content structured in a way that persons are able to go through it at their own pace by each month, and then the new month will unlock new content. Looking at creating some sort of digital, like a library of sorts, where we have the meditations that are recorded, so persons can always go back and take a look at those.
Hmm.
One of the
Hmm.
things that I don't do is that I don't allow persons like to download the information, really because a lot of it drains me energetically. So
Sure, sure.
like
That makes
I can feel, a lot of people say, how do you know when people are watching your stuff? I can feel that energetic connection. And so for me to allow people to download it, so that's the only thing about the challenge. You can't download it, but it's there for you to watch it. Um, and yeah, so definitely for 2025, and I'm actually going to put a link in the chat, for persons if they are interested. Um,
Yeah, put it in the private chat. And by the way, for those who are going to give the birthdays, because we are going to be doing some readings. But what I would like to know is, so for the group number 2025 that's going to be starting, what has been your challenge of forgiveness? So just put in, I find it hard to forgive my mother. I find it hard to forgive my neighbor. I find it, so whatever it is, so that gives us, or I should say Brandon, who is the expert at this, a way to how to kind of shape his next cycle of forgiveness classes.
yeah. So what I
So,
will say also, Brother Lloyd, is that the difference between 2024 and 2025 is that 2025 will be a paid subscription. When I really sat down, I thought about it, because every month I do monthly teachings. I don't think that we've missed a meditation this year. I think we've had 52 meditations. And each of those, a lot of those were self-guided. I think I've played a recorded meditation one time. That's because I had the flu. And I literally logged on. I was like, hey, guys, be aware, hit play. As soon as the meditation finished, I got up and said, all right, guys, good night. See you next week.
Good night. Well, you got to take care of yourself to continue to work. You know what I'm saying?
And I was able to do the meditation. So it was like healing for myself as well. But next year it will be, and of course, it'll be a minimal subscription. One of the things I don't want, at least from this particular, venture, is for it to be at a place where it's unaffordable, for anyone, because we all at different economic states. This will allow persons to be able to benefit from like my weekly meditations. Those are going to be open and free to anyone, whether you're a part of the challenge or not. So there are some things that will be available for community. But then if you want to work with me individually, we'll talk about that more in the healing aspect, that's a slightly different conversation.
Well, in fact, I'm about to talk to you about healing before we go to our viewers' question. Aren't I scheduled to be on with your group soon this week?
This week on Thursday,
the 19th.
We're having the what I call the meeting of the metaphysical masterminds. So we have the Honorable Brother Lloyd Strayhorn, we have the Queen of Numerology, Jackie Levine, and we have Brother Francis E. Revelsbay will come in.
Boy. That's going to be powerful.
Yeah. And then, I said to the group for the last 2 weeks, I was like, depending on how the conversation goes, I might jump in, I might not, depending on. And I can feel like the energy already, the excitement building up, and I already know.
You're very good at what you do, and you've proven it in a lot of ways. But before we get to the comments, though, tell us about the healing, because you said you've been doing some fantastic work with healing over the last month or so.
Yeah, so I started with pranic healing, which is an energy healing modality, very similar to Reiki, but it's different in that it's has more scientific in terms of its approach. And so that started in 2016. And then in 2020, when the world kind of allowed us this opportunity to refocus and reorganize, what I did was decided to launch out, my own business. The jobs that I was working at, they were pretty much shut down. So I started Be Well Energy Wellness, where we looked at, providing healing services through the healing arts and sciences of pranic healing. You also utilizing coaching services. NLP is kind of like my primary base in terms of the modality and the method. And then, of course, numerology, astrology, to a degree. Let me put that out there because I'm not an astrologer. I study it and, I kind of dabble in it. So if you give me some information ahead of time, don't come in this chat tonight. Tell me your birth time. I'm going to say, all right, happy birthday in the morning. That's what you're going to get off the fly. Let's just be very clear about that up front. But what I found, like over the 4 years, it was really, the first 2 years, I was getting clients, but of course it was this like, pranic healing energy, it's new, blah, 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 all of that kind of stuff. Now I'm noticing that persons have become more open to energy healing, and the benefit, and I don't ever want to sound arrogant or anything of that nature, is that y'all are catching me at the time of your interest when I've been in it for 8 years now. Now my teacher, Jeff Noble, he's been in it since Christ Came from Paget. He's been in it since the 90s, and he's my teacher. Absolutely love him. He's a phenomenal teacher.
I vouch for him. I've been knowing him about 30 years. He's best.
Yeah, so Jeff has really helped to pull out of me and help me to develop the ways in which I kind of am today. with that's the slogan, book with Brandon.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
The
Oh yeah.
slogan.
This is your divine nine. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, book with Brandon. Yeah. So I just really started making myself more available, putting myself out there to do more healing work. Noticed that the clients started becoming, more consistent, and utilizing energy healing and complementary, with whatever, healing, medical care system you're currently under, whether you're under traditional allopathic Medicare, more holistic approach, alternative, whatever it is. What I don't do is I don't interfere with what it is that you're doing. I complement what it is that you're doing. So, and pranic healing or energy medicine, this particular modality specifically, we look at how to clean up the aura, the chakras, so that way the body can do what's designed to do, which is to heal itself. And what I discover is that you really see the benefit after having multiple sessions. So instead of doing individual sessions, I'm more moving in the direction of packages. So you can purchase 4 packages for like 500. There's 8 packages, 8 sessions for 1,000, and then that includes a coaching session. Or then there are 15 sessions for 12 sessions for 1,500, which includes 2 coaching sessions, as well as all of those include access to all of like my weekly meditations. And the 12 session package also includes a customized recording for you. So let's say if you have a particular ailment or something that you want to work with, I'll design the meditation for that specific ailment, and then we work through your sessions. As you see the results, you can decide, hey, listen, this is working, I want to continue on, or hey man, it didn't work for me. I appreciate the work and keep it going. So either way, it I'm easy to work with, but I'm very intentional. I will challenge you. Persons come in. I had a customer client a few years ago when I first really started diving into it. Came in with some health challenges, and I asked the question, do you want to get better? So why are we talking? Come on, let's
Yeah.
be
Well,
real.
waste your time, right?
It's either we're gonna do this or we're not. And then
Yeah.
when the client decided that I do want to do this, we were able to really get to the core of what was happening, and then once we got to the core of it, man, Lord, you'll be surprised of where the sickness came from. There was watch this, going back to where I was talking about forgiveness around places and events.
Mm-hmm.
She worked on a certain job, had an experience with the supervisor, and the experience was so bad. Went to him and said, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to be sick, and I don't know how long I'm going to be sick.
Huh?
Well, she went to her boss because she was so pissed off, like just through with her boss. Said, tomorrow I'm not going to be. I'm going to be sick tomorrow, and I don't know how long I will be sick. But for 24 years, she was sick.
There was a book that I read years ago. I think I still have it in my collections of many books in my library called EII, Emotionally Induced Illnesses.
How to live 365 days.
A year. That's right. I got that book. And it talks about that a lot of the physical manifestations of illnesses has a lot to do psychologically, whether it's a placebo or a nocebo. Nocebo means you really talk yourself into being really sick. And and not only that, but being sick is very expensive too.
Yeah.
On the finances, the body, the family members, things of that nature is like
very costly.
Yeah.
Very, very costly.
So what did this person do? They were sick for 24 years?
For 24 years. There was an official diagnosis. But of course there was only treatment, but there was no quote unquote cure. And so when we sat down and we talked, did a consultation and really started getting into the work, Once we discovered that core belief that I'm going to be sick tomorrow and I don't know how long I'll be sick, I just simply asked the question, well, when do you want to stop being sick?
Good question.
Because she set this program in place that I'm going to be sick and I don't know for how long. Okay, so now let's insert the period into this program. This has been a run-on sentence for 24 years. Now put some grammar and some punctuation in this. So what we did was we put a period there to say, I'm going to, instead of saying I'm going, well, I went back and said, I'm going to be sick tomorrow and I'll be sick up until, and we made it that day that we were talking about. And literally day by day after that, she started seeing improvement with her condition, started seeing improvement just in her overall energies. And then what ended up happening is the body ended up contracting like pneumonia or something like that, from which she wasn't able to recover. But there was able to, from that initial condition, she was able to experience relief, because we were able to identify whether this illness was physical in origin, emotional, psychological. And once we identify the origin, then we can work on healing it from that root, from that origin, from that cause.
Well, let me tell you this. She must have had, or they must have had, a very powerful mind to say they're sick and hold on to that image for 20. That's a long time to hold on to something, Brandon.
Well, see what it was, Lloyd, is there was a combination of two things that was going on at play. There was the thought, but then there was also a feeling attached to that thought. So Reverend Ike used to say that it's the feeling that gets the blessing. So whenever you have a thought, and especially if it's a strong enough thought, it's a strong enough intention combined with a feeling, then you have manifestation. Let me just put it in another word. So we have our physical body. Outside of our physical body, we have layers of auras. For simple discussion, we'll talk about having this emotional aura, or the mental aura, rather, which is where we experience thoughts and ideas. Then we have the emotional aura where we experience feelings. And then we have the etheric aura, which gives shape and vitality to the physical body. So if we have a thought that's connected to an emotion, ultimately it's going to produce something tangible.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Before we go, I know I keep saying we're going to go to the comments because there's quite a bit. There's quite a bit of people that have been expressing their forgiveness. One just a couple of comments back said it's hard to forgive her brother for not helping her sick mother. So when you talk about family members, that's a case in point, I would imagine.
Yeah.
What led you on this journey to start working with actually saying, okay, I'm going to start something on forgiveness? Was there something within you that you had to forgive within yourself, if that makes sense, Brandon?
Not at all. Not at all. I was running from my stuff, Lloyd. I'll be 100% honest. I was quite content sitting over here in my corner, minding my own business. But what ended up happening was a good friend of mine, met her as a coworker. The story of how we connected was so funny. We were at I just started at a new job, at an event, and someone was talking about like zodiac signs, and I think I just made a little slight comment because I didn't know anybody. I only knew one person. That was the guy who brought me into the job. And based off of my comment, the person responded and said, no, that ain't right. And so the guy says, I don't necessarily know if you want to get into that argument with him. She said, I know what I'm talking about. And so I said, okay. She said, well, who is he? So of course, I said, well, he just so happens to be an astro-numerologist. It's like, oh. So it ended up going around the circle. Everybody gave me their birthday and gave a little something. When I got to this particular one, like I could feel energetically, she was pushing me back, like, get away from me. Like, you ain't reading my thoughts.
Almost make the side of the cross like that.
Yeah, one of those. And she's a 7. And so what ended up happening is, I moved on because I felt it. I was like, it's all good.
Yeah, yeah.
And she literally ended up becoming one of my biggest supporters, just in terms of like weekly meditations.
It normally happens like that.
She wouldn't miss a meditation. She referred family and friends to me for work. And so at the end of 2023, she asked me if I was going to be doing a like a vision board for the year 2024. And I was like, no, there's enough people doing vision boards. Like you can go on YouTube and find things like that, or go on Udemy. Like there's a million and one of those things. No, I'm not doing that. So they're like, well, you got to do something. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I ain't got to do nothing. But of course,
you're working on yourself, right?
Exactly. I'm just content over here in my little corner, man, being chill. So ended up, I don't know if I was watching like a video on social media or something on TV, something, but the word forgiveness had popped up, and I was like, okay. And then the passage where one of the disciples asked Jesus, if my brother offends me, how many times should I forgive him? 7 times? And Jesus responds, no, 70 times 7. And so that kind of started ringing for me a little bit. And then, so that's how the challenge of the forgive 70 times 7 challenge came into existence. It really was, the inspiration of a friend of mine who was like, hey, are you going to do something? And I was like, no.
That would be 490 or something like that, wouldn't it?
Yep. 490 forgiveness exercises in 366. So literally what each month looked like was each month, every day obviously has a forgiveness exercise. And what I tell everyone is I'm literally giving you the framework. You can build the house however you want to build it. I give different techniques, different teachings, and you can decide which technique you want to use. And a forgiveness exercise could literally be as short as 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be a long and drawn out where you sit and go into meditation and go into, some super spiritual state where you're chanting and, rocking back and forth. No, sometimes it's just a simple awareness. I want to let go of this energy, maybe that I'm holding on to, or maybe I need to ask for forgiveness because of, something that I've done, or how I treated someone, or whatever the case may be. I think today we did finances, and we focused on the times where we didn't appreciate the value of money. And so based off of just that, we looked at asking for forgiveness from the energy of prosperity, so that way we can become more open and receptive to it, rather than asking for forgiveness for, people, let's say, who we may have borrowed money from and we never paid them back. There's a 2 different, ways to look at it. So,
well, it's interesting because when you say that about money, that's the one thing I like about Reverend Ike's autobiography or biography of Reverend Ike, where he talks about money and how we look at money and how to look at money. We don't spend money, we circulate money, the whole philosophy. And at the time he was coming up, we were just taught in the church, well, you get your pie in the sky, you get your money when you get to the other side. But he was saying, no.
By and by.
Yeah, right here and right now, And so if anybody who wants to really find out about how he was thinking, I would suggest that you pick up his book. It's written by his son and another coworker.
And then even Lloyd, like along that, not to get too deep into it religiously, but even Reverend Ike's philosophy, it was based in Bible. There's a passage that says that you'll have blessings in this life. Well, manifold blessings is actually the wording that it uses, right? Manifold blessings in this life and the life to come. So it talks about not just having it, when this quote unquote, the by and by, but you can have manifold blessings here and now and whatever the afterlife may be.
I say to that one, that makes a lot of sense, buddy. That makes a lot of sense. Well, we're going to go. In fact, we have a V Wright. She says, good evening, Lloyd and Brandon, would like a general reading. She's born February the 18th of 1958. She says she doesn't know the time, but it doesn't matter to Brandon and I as numerologists. So, Brandon?
All right. So I would say that this upcoming year is going to be a good year for her. We're getting ready to go into a 9 universal year. So of course we know that this year it rules or favors rather anyone who's born under the sign of Scorpio, the sign of Aries, or whose birthday adds up to the number 9. So that could be the 9th, that could be the 18th or the 27th of any month. So I would definitely say for V Right that this is a chance really to focus on your dreams. What are some of the things that you didn't get to do in life and that you really wanted to do? What I could say for you personally is that you'll be going into a one personal year. And so this year is all about new opportunities, new directions, starting things in a new way. So I'm wondering maybe if you're retired or you're thinking about doing something new or some sort of new undertakings, um, maybe travel to some new places this year. But that's really what 2024 was about. 2025 is going to be a two personal year. So this is a year be a little more patient with things.
And that's not easy for number 9.
Yeah. So so you may want to hit me up for the forgiveness challenge.
Yeah, because the cycle she is going to be. I like Divine 9. He says the subscription is to practice accountability. I like how you put that. No wonder Divine 9 is your boy, you know?
That's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
book with Brandon, but I think that's nice.
And interestingly, he's also an Aquarius 9.
Oh, well, he's going to have a great year too.
Yeah.
But yet a challenging year.
Yep.
It almost sounds counterintuitive, but kind of challenging too, since that's it. It's just interesting about how people look at things, look at monies, and the way we do things. I don't understand. But anyway, and in fact, soon as you said divine mind, there he is right there. Look, and okay, you read you talked about his birthday, but I'm looking at his birthday and I'm seeing all of those zeros and those 2s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And really, Brother Lloyd, you'll get to meet him on Thursday. Really great brother. When they talk about the 9s has this temperament of being hostile and aggressive. The 2s and those zeros really help to balance him out quite a bit.
That makes sense. I have a Yolanda. She's born 4/11/86 at 10:35 p.m. So her house is around about in the 7th or 8th house in New Bern, New York, living in North Carolina now. So what would you say for her? She's in Aries.
Well, I would say that this year does present an interesting dynamic. So it favors your birth sign, but it gives challenges to your birth number. So what this just could indicate that this is a year to really kind of allow yourself to have a sense of emotional balance. There may be times where you may want to go, full steam ahead. That might be a time just to take a chill pill, have a cool drink of water or take a walk down by the waterside somewhere, and just kind of relax, or even near a waterfall or something along those lines. This year, Yolanda will be going into a 6th personal year. So this represents the energy of rebranding oneself. So after this 2024, you probably had to make some major decisions in some kind of way. The way that Lloyd teaches it, that the 5 represents coming to a fork in the road, and you got to make a decision. So based off of whatever major decisions or dramatic changes that you might have experienced in 2024, you're going to do something new to kind of represent who you are to the world.
All right. This is Black Widow, Jules from our group, Brandon. She is another Aries, March 25th.
So let's see here. So she'll be going into a 1 personal year as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that this is a year about really taking charge of where you want your life to go. Have a sense of purpose, a sense of vision, and really go after it. You want to be able to avoid kind of feelings of laziness and kind of complacency or overthinking about things. Really just once you got that vision or you've created that image, really go after it.
Okay. This is Stephen E. And Stephen E., thanks so much for the donation, buddy. He's born 11/17/76 at 10:24 a.m., which means his sun is in the 10th house. And he was referring to you, saying you were so on point about the healing. So what say you about Steve?
For
Stephen.
Stephen, I would say, just like our previous person, this is going to be a one personal year. Interestingly, as I'm looking at your birthday, what pops up in front of me is like a building or a business of sorts. I'm wondering if Stephen owns a business or he's looking at kind of taking over a business or becoming in some sort of leadership in a business. But this would make all the sense in the world for me because you're going into a one personal year for the year 2025. What I would say, as it comes to me, between now and your birthday, work on letting go of anything that you don't need, anything that's not helping you to achieve your goals, whether it's in your business, whether it's in your personal life, in your relationships, whatever it is. Really work on letting that go because you're going to be going into like this cycle of new beginnings, new opportunities, and the seeds that you'll plant are really going to grow over the next 9 years.
Not only that, he's a Scorpio, which favors one of the signs for 2025. Now,
Yes.
what about Mo Bless? They are born November the 19th of 1977. Life path 9, that's a male.
That is that 1119. Okay.
Notice they got a lot of 1s and 9s in their birthday.
Yeah, I'm noticing that. So this person will be going into a 3 person a year, a 12 in particular,
Yeah.
12-3 cycle.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I would say to Mo Blessed, if you want to be Mo Blessed, be careful this year of who you tell your dreams to, who you tell your plans to, who you tell your ideas and who you tell your visions to. Because this is a very beneficial, very lucky, very blessed cycle. But one of the things that can happen under the 12-3 cycle is that people can tend to use your ideas to their advantage. So just utilize discernment this year, and you'll find that this will be a really great cycle for you.
I heard that word before. Now, what about Veronica Curtin Johnson? She is born July 18th of 77. I mean, excuse me, 1955 at 10:35 p.m. So her sun is at the bottom, somewhere around about the 7th or the 8th house. So what say you about her?
So I say that Veronica is going into a 7 personal year for 2025. This is the year to really utilize the law of attraction, the power of magnetization. So anything that you want to achieve, especially if you have any trips in mind that you're thinking about taking, set those intentions in your mind first. Visualize what the experience is going to be like, down to every single detail that you can put into it. What the hospitality is going to be like, what the food will be like, what the experiences, what the cultures will be like, what it is that you'll do, and you'll find that as you paint those details in your mind and really put color into it, maybe be creative, put music to it, you'll find that your experiences will tend to, or the universe will start to magnetize those energies or those experiences to your thoughts.
Okay, Brandon, what about Black Widow? She's July. That's interesting. We had 2 signs back to back. Now we got another 2 signs back to back. Black Widow, she is July 17th, and her sun is in the 8th house. That's where her sun is. But what say you about her, July 17th?
Let's see here. So this person now, I'm almost certain that we just did Black Widow, and
We did?
yeah, but it was a different birthday. I see what's happening here. Getting some information on some other people, getting the inside scoop. No problem.
Thank you. I hadn't picked up on that. Okay, go ahead.
What I was interested in, that I used that phrase, that terminology, getting the inside scoop. So this, whoever this reading is for, if it's for Black Widow, for someone else, going into a 7 year
Okay, the phone is breaking up a bit. Mercury retrograde ended officially yesterday on Sunday the 15th. However, it is still in the shadow effects. Brandon, can you hear me or you're frozen? Okay, well, let me say this for Black Widow for this. Hmm? Okay, it must have froze, whatever the case is, but I'll kind of finish where he left off. You are a water sign with an earth number, Black Widow. Your most important numbers are the 8, followed by the 2 and the 7. And it indicates that this year coming up, you will be entering a 6th personal year, a year that that affects family, education, health, life sources. And I guess he will be joining us in just a moment. He went off. But your key numbers again are the 8, the 2, and the 7. And your best days are always, in fact, I call these angel numbers. It's interesting how people now talk about angel numbers, angel numbers. Well, every single one of you have an angel number. If you're born on some month, some day, some year, you have your angel numbers too. It's just how to look for them. And therefore, since your numbers are the 8, 2, and 7, Black Widow, you'll find that your best days or angelic days, I'll put it like that, should always be on a Saturday, followed by a Monday and a Friday. Okay, I think Brandon is back. Brandon, you back, buddy?
Yep, I'm back.
All right, good. So we just finished this one. What about Vieta Robinson? They're born March the 12th to 55 at 9 p.m.
So for Vieta Robinson, she'll be going into a 6th personal year. So it wouldn't surprise me if she's considered doing some changes or renovations, remodeling, maybe in her home, changing up her wardrobe, doing something different with whether it's like her hairstyle or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what I would say for Vieta: take 2025. Because we're also keep in mind that while we have a personal influence, there's also an overshadowing universal influence that everyone is going to be going through. So under the universal year of the 9, there's going to be a lot of letting go of things that no longer serve us. When we come into the end of certain cycles. So what I would say for Vieta is to don't forget to stop and pause to appreciate the beauty of life around you. Whether that's taking some time to be outside in nature. That's what I would say for Vieta.
Okay. What about Coco? September 15th. What kind of year will they be having?
So Coco will be going into a 11 personal year, master number 11 personal year. If I did that right.
Oh, they September 15th?
Oh, yeah, no. I didn't do that right.
Yeah.
Try that again. September 15th.
Perfect. Yes. Yes.
So we're 15, so that's a 6. Wow, we got a lot of 6 personal years.
That's what yeah. And you're a Taurus, and it's kind of like that energy of the day, I guess.
Yeah. And then and then Coco is also a 6. So this tells me that this personal year is going to be good for you. And the 6 and the 9 do have harmony with each other. So that indicates that this year is not going to be a bad year for you. What I would say, maybe you've been thinking about going back to school. As I'm looking at your name, maybe there's something along those lines around like education or books that keep popping up. So maybe you considered that going back to school, and I would say this is definitely would be the year for that.
Okay. Now this is interesting. This is Cheryl. This is the one that had forgiveness. She says, I find it hard to forgive my brother for not helping take care of our sick mother, Michelle, who was born October the 8th, a Libra like you in 1962. So I don't know whether her mother is still here or transition or whatever the case is. But getting back, though, we have Nicholas Noel, who was born in 1982.
But look, before we go on, I want to go to the person who you just had up.
Yes.
October 8th.
Yes. Yes.
So what I would want to say to you is that this coming year, 2025, is the year to really work on doing that forgiveness and letting those things go. Um, you'll be going into a 9 personal year. We're also in a 9 universal year. So this does indicate um, almost like a loud call or a clarion call of sorts to maybe this is time to work on letting that go. And I would definitely love to be able to work with you through that. So when we put my information up, please be sure to reach out to me by email so we can look at how to navigate through some of those difficult moments.
To be honest, I have a client now where she's living with her elderly mother, but her son is literally trying to manipulate to get them out of their home. They have a home in Brooklyn, and they're doing. The son is doing everything, and I'm saying it. How crazy? How could you do this to your mother? See, now maybe I appear to people naive because of the way I was raised, but to me, the same mother that he's about to throw out and says she's being abused and she doesn't take care of the house, all of this is not true. He's taking out loans against the property and all that stuff like that. And he's trying to kick his sister out who is taking care of the mother. Why do people do things like that? Because when the way I was raised, family, you got to look out for each other.
Well, Lloyd, I think we don't have enough time to get into the figuring out why people do that.
Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah,
But
we must have a therapy session. Right.
what I can suggest, or at least speculate in my mind, is that there can be, you know, money makes people do things, differently, and when
You're kind with that. You're kind, Brandon, with that.
property when properties involved, there can be a number of different explanations, but then we also don't know, like, what are some of the early years that person experienced. They may have had. It's interesting, you can have 2 children born from two of the same parents,
Yeah.
and those children will have different experiences with their parent. And so there's definitely, like, we don't know what the background is on that, but there are ways in which the mother and sister can protect themselves energetically, and even offer forgiveness and healing, so that way forgiveness is like, when I say it's some magical special sauce, um it causes, like, the reactions that you get out of people is like, wait, what? I wasn't expecting that, but okay, I got it. Thanks. I think.
Seems like the power of forgiveness would lighten a person's burden of things on their back so they can go forward faster, to me.
100%. That's where some of the intricacies or some of the hidden stuff is, where they talk about forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for you. Yeah, so you don't have to keep carrying around all that crap on your back, and you can move forward. Like, think about it.
You practice that.
Think of, like, I remember I heard this story one time. There were 2 monks that made a vow that they would never touch a woman in their life. Vow of celibacy, but they took it to the extreme that they wouldn't even shake a woman's hand, or anything of that nature. So one day they're walking up to the monastery, and they see this elderly lady. She's very weak and frail. She's crossing the street, and taking her a long time and very difficult for her. So one of the monks, he picks up the lady, carries her across the street, puts her down, and says, have a nice day, and they continue walking up the street. So about 4 or 5 miles up the road, one of the monks says to the other one, "Yo, man, we made an agreement that we would never touch a woman, and you just picked that lady up and carried her across the street." And the man responds to him by saying, "I carried her for 3 feet, and you carried her for 3 miles."
Wow, in his head. I get it.
So yeah. Sometimes what forgiveness does, it allows us to evict people that's been taking up space in our minds rent free.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I guess that's why they say the mind is a terrible thing to waste.
Yes, yes.
That's
Why?
you
Because
all something
we're
like that.
experts at making ourselves feel bad. You know, we're experts at reminding ourselves of all the bad stuff that's going on in our life. Why not replace that with like stuff that's going to be more useful for us?
That's too simple though, Brandon. Okay. Why should we take the easy way where we could complicate our lives with more drama? I do want to thank Ki Yamaya Yemaya for the donation. And she is born 7779. All right. She's born at 5:47. She didn't say AM or PM. But what would you say for this Cancerian? And thank you very much, Ki Yemaya, for the donation.
What I would say is that you'll be going into a 5 personal year. So this indicates to me that this year may bring about some changes, maybe a lot of actually more so a lot of movement. So these changes they're not changes for the bad. These are changes for the good. You can expect kind of like people that are in higher positions to look out for you with gifts and favors and that kind of energies. The what the picture that comes to me is like the sun is shining on you for the year 2025.
Mhm.
So really utilize this year that is going to bring about an opportunity to make some changes for the best.
Okay, good. That sounds good. And I guess some traveling will be in store for her too. What
Absolutely.
this is Tanya Mitchell, excuse me, 11:30. So they just had a birthday about 2 weeks ago.
Same birthday as my mom.
Your mother is November 30th?
Yep.
All right, all right. That means your mother is a very youthful woman.
Yes, yes, her and my daughter.
Oh, no wonder. And your daughter is a 3 also. So that means between her and her grandmother, they must talk up a storm.
Listen, what I usually do is I walk in the room, I'm out. I'm out. I'm out. Interestingly, Tanya is same cycle as our previous person who's in that 5 year. So
Mhm,
this
mhm.
that tells me that this year could bring about some changes, whether it's on the workplace, whether it's in the home, some sort of moving around. Um, I would, interestingly, I get this kind of caution about being patient. Don't be too impulsive in the year of 2025. We're under a fire sign, fire number will be going into a fire year. So
Mhm.
what I do sense is that you ought to utilize a little bit of patience, or at least think a little bit before you may make a decisions or things of that nature.
All righty. We have Juanita Scott, who is February the 6th of 77, born at 3:33 in the morning. So I think their son is in the second house. That's where their son is, in the second house, the house of possessions. All righty.
Interesting time of birth. Point adds up to the 9 for the
Mhm.
9. So Juanita is going to be going into an 8 personal year. So
Correct.
this is a power cycle. Your birth number and the personal cycle that you'll be going into are very harmonious with each other. So if you've thought about investing or getting into some sort of property or real estate or something like that, it wouldn't surprise me. Definitely would suggest to do some research. This is also a year to be able to get outside into nature. If there are any sort of like health concerns, anything like that, allow nature to be your medicine. Get outside in fresh air. Those are some things I would say. But this is definitely a year about status, about recognition, and about achievement.
Is this one of your forgiveness students, Veronica Curtin Johnson? She says
Yes,
this year forgiveness has definitely allowed me to not carry the burdens I began with. I think if we could all lighten our load from the burdens of guilt and forgiveness, I think we would all be a little happier too.
100%. And you know the thing about happiness, Lloyd, Prosperity loves happiness.
I know. I love being
Good,
happy, man. That's
good,
that's my
good.
middle name.
You
Seriously, I am about
know,
being happy.
yeah, good luck loves happiness. Um, right relationships loves happiness. All the good things that we really want to attract into our lives, those things, they firstly they have a consciousness and they are attracted to the energy of happiness. As long as we exude the energy of anger, resentment, guilt, shame, bitterness, all these lower emotions will tend to attract some of those lower things.
I have a suggestion, my friend, my brother.
Mhm.
Just as you teach a course on forgiveness, why don't you start a course on happiness?
So,
People hear the word, but I don't think they really understand the word. Like it, for me, I'm at the most happiest point in my life. I would
mhm.
not trade me for anything on the planet. It took me a long time to get here, I admit, but I think through the way your style of teaching, you can get people much faster to where they need to be, especially since happiness attracts abundance and prosperity and all those other nice things that we all dream about or wish about. Just a
so,
suggestion. I mean, yeah, you need more work like a hole in the head, probably, but
so
I know you can do it.
interesting that you said it, Lloyd. Maybe a week or two ago, week ago, I was thinking, all right, I'm going to do the challenge next year, but what's something, maybe a different component that I could add to it, and then something came in maybe as a like a different program altogether. But I
Hmm.
actually work with a community in the morning called the Wake Up Everybody community, and for the last maybe 2 months, I've gone back to do a facilitate a workshop called Make Your Cells Happy, CELLS. And the concept is that when the cells in our body are happy, then our organs can be happy. When our organs are happy, then the body can be healthy. And when the body is healthy, then we're able to do the things that we wish to do, and we're able to do the things we wish to do. Then we're able to find fulfillment in life. And when we find fulfillment in life, then we've reached this status of joy or this state of joy. And so, really, happiness is not an emotion. Happiness is a tool or a resource that allows us to get to joy. And so, we, I thought it was going to be a one-time workshop.
Oh,
Lord,
no, 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 no,
I've
no.
been back like 4 times. I've got to go back again to do another like another.
No,
Um,
you must do something, or to
yeah.
forgiveness, add the component of happiness, because it is again, it took me a long time to love myself too, much
Hmm.
less be happy. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I know people say, but if you look at the way this society is structured, we're always bombarded about looking at the more negative side about nature, the more shortcomings about nature. You know, those parts and more challenges us, which is why I guess it's hard for a lot of people to get out their funk. But to
Mhm.
learn how to love myself was an awesome step. And in loving myself, I became happier. I
Yeah.
know that sounds kind of crazy, but that's how my life has worked.
Yeah. And
I'm
honestly,
always pleasant with people. It doesn't cost me anything to
it's
just
free
say,
99.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and really that's the key, Lloyd, is when you get to that place of loving yourself, then you can access happiness whether something is happening or not. Because a lot of times we place the value of happiness based on what is happening in our life. Are good things happening? Are people treating me right? Do I have a lot of money? My debt's paid. But let's say if we flip that script where things aren't going well, you got more month than you got money. Your change is strange. You know what I'm saying? Like when you start getting to all those, people
Yeah.
start acting funny towards you. Is it can you still be happy in those moments? And a lot of times I would say 97% of people will say no. It's very difficult to be happy when your conditions around you don't say to be happy. And so it's easy for us to buy into like that program or that belief that everything is against us. And so then what happens subconsciously, we turn against us and we don't love ourselves.
You know what's interesting? There was a point of the Sanford and Son show with Red Fox and Desmond, and if you notice in all of the series, always at the end something happened where something didn't go through, something always fell through, something was always a problem. you know, and I think that that's how the culture here in this country programs us that, like, I even had a client that she said she was happy, and I says, well, what's wrong with that? She says, well, what's going to go wrong? It's almost they're looking for something to go wrong, you know. And so these things are very important.
And,
What you're doing, Brandon. That's all I'm saying, buddy.
yeah,
These things
and
are very
and
important.
and even to add to that, Lloyd, when things are going good in our lives, they don't continue to go good in our lives because we have this program to say, "Oh, it's too good to be true," or
Exactly. Exactly.
this ain't going to last long."
Yeah,
And
this is
so,
too good. There's got to be a catch.
yeah, and so here's the thing about our words that have power with, with creation in the universe, is that, one of the universal principles is that as a, a being that's evolving and growing, you shouldn't lie. And so why would the universe allow you to be a liar? So if it's too good to be true, you're right. Let's cut this off right here. If this ain't going to last long, well, let's not drag it out. Let's cut it off right here.
Yeah. Just stop while we at it, right? But that's
If
interesting. Go ahead, Brandon.
But if we change, that mindset, it becomes very different.
Well, what I'm going to do is I want you to hold on a second. I want to introduce the sponsors before we sign off because I want you, my friend, to have the last word. Okay. So just sit tight, Brandon. I'll be right with you. And for everybody, I do want to thank you. I do want to thank my brother Brandon. And this is in the private chat. If you can see it, I guess this is his link, and I'll discuss that later. But as far as the sponsors are concerned, by the way, last Wednesday, I had Queen B of TV on, and we almost spent almost an hour and a half or so talking about Michael Jackson. Well, for those that want to know more, this is it tonight. She is going to plead it. She started a new format called Numbers Matter. All righty. So tonight at 10 p.m., for those of you and me, I mean, we really gave Michael Jackson his props, but she's going to do an astro-numeric tribute to him. And it's tonight at 10 p.m. live. Okay. And so it's on BTV. All right. There, as you can see. So that's tonight. So please, for those of you who want to watch the conclusions, do that. Also, I want to thank our sponsor, Monique, yesterday from Nicholas, Brooklyn, who did a wonderful, wonderful. It was just great seeing those historical geniuses talking about the history of the African American experience and things like that. This is Jazz Aphrodite. Her classes are on sale. But in addition to that, folks, she's also having a special coming up on the 11th of next month. All right. And it is to, it's about a really crystal chakra number intensive. And for those of you who've taken Jazz Aphrodite's courses like I have done and some others have done, the one thing you'll know, the sister don't play. Okay. So for knowledge and wisdom and understanding. Also, if you go to her website, jazzaphrodite.com, she is selling neck pieces in silver and gold. You just get your number. If I was a 7, I get silver 7 or gold 7. So please make sure you take advantage of it. This gives you an idea of what it looks like. These are beautiful pieces. They will all be handcrafted to you. This is in gold. And also, for those of you who asked about our books, please just go to jazzaphrodite.com/shop. All right. So, and then I got to include my buddy, King Simon, who is having an event coming up on January the 11th. So that's going to be a big day on the 11th of January. Going to teach a master class. So please register now. Simon is also very excellent. I'm telling you, these sponsors that I have are very, very good. This is also Miss Kimberly on Manifest on Purpose. She now has another podcast called Astro-Numerology Reveals Weekly Wisdom. And she's also having a vision board class on the very first day of January. So please, for those of you, please sign up. Seating is limited. And so just sign up by going right there. So let's see. And then also, Riza Islam with his supplements, and those are the things. And also, I got to tell you, yes, we're halfway through December, but I do have a monthly newsletter that is absolutely free. We do not sell your email list to anyone. I really respect the sacredness of your privacy. Those things are very important. Where I'm finding now all these people be selling people's lists to make money. Well, that's on them. For those that don't want to read the forecast, you can hear the forecast. And this is the December forecast that Ms. Kimberly and I do each month. We're talking about the December and all of the signs. You will see them soon on Instagram and Facebook. They're on TikTok now if you want to see the division of each of the signs. So you have a choice of either reading the newsletter or hearing what was said. And the way I read and the way I write is talk and write is two different things, okay? So up and above that, and in January, I start the Power Series. Each and every month, I do a Power Series. The first one is the power of the numerical cycles, then the power of relationships, the power of precious metals, the power of money, the power of health. All of these things, sometimes it violates community guidelines. Well, you can do it. So click on the QR code at the bottom right to sign up for the class, and the seating will be limited. Then in February, I will be giving a professional online course again, teaching you how to make this as a profession. And then in April, one of my third loves, other than numerology and astrology, is palmistry, the art of the hand. All righty. So with that, I got to get my buddy back. Brandon, you have the last word, buddy, before we sign off.
Oh, man. Thank you, Brother Lloyd. It's been a great pleasure tonight. And of course, hanging out with you anytime. But if persons are interested, that's it. So if persons are interested in booking sessions with me, feel free to email me.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
There we are. It's right here. I'm glad I got you to wait. Personally, you got so much stuff that's going on. I was sitting here right now. All right, so this is the one I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take that class too. Family, y'all don't know. For like 7 years, me and Lloyd have been talking about I'm gonna get into this palmistry classes. I was going up to Harlem the days when Dusty was trying to take my chicken. So,
oh boy, my bad, Brandon. My bad. I knew there was something I was supposed to do. I'm glad something told me to wait to and save you for last. So now, is all your information up to date? Is all of your information current?
Yes. So all of my information is in. My man's he putting in the chat right now the slogan "Book with Brandon." So if you are interested in just getting an initial consultation to see what like the energy healing, pranic healing is, and how it could benefit you, just send me an email. Just put in the subject line pranic healing, and then I'll get back to you. If you're interested in joining us for the Forgiveness 7x7 challenge, we're still going throughout the remainder of the month. It's not too late to join in. Send me an email. And in the subject line, just put 70 times 7. Just send me that. What I'll do is I'll add you to our mailing list, and you'll start getting the daily newsletters. We'll also set up a one-on-one time where we can go through kind of like a recap, if you will, of what we've experienced over the year. If you have any questions, and then also if you're interested in being part of us for the Forgiveness Challenge next year. According to Brother Lloyd, you heard it tonight. Maybe there's going to be a happiness group, and you're the second person.
You got to add some happiness to it.
Yeah,
because the whole world seems to be miserable. I mean, you got wars everywhere, man. People, it's almost as if people get turned on being mean. Today, there was some shooting. A teacher was killed. A student was killed. It's like somebody is not happy, buddy. That's all I know.
Yeah. There's a lot, and unfortunately, we're going into this 9 universal year.
Yeah.
So these are also some things that you want to just keep your head on a swivel, as they would say. Just kind of be mindful of your surroundings and things like that. But yeah, absolutely. If you're interested in booking sessions with me, send me an email. I'll be honest with you, I check that more than I check my website. And we're going to get that together too, because
Now, is
business.
that your phone number? Is that the correct phone number there?
Yes. So yeah, you could text me on that phone number. Really, the easiest way is by email, because my phone is ringing all day. Some days I'll hit do not disturb for a couple hours. But if you send me the email, I'm
Hear you on
guaranteed
that one.
guaranteed to get it. So send me an email. Let me know what that you're interested in working with me, and we'll definitely see what we could work out, what plans are available. And then last thing, y'all saw the Cash App on there. Don't forget, money, money, money. Put that on there.
Hold
But
up, right there.
yeah,
Let us be clear.
that's it. But Brother Lloyd, thank you again, man. Y'all really always appreciate your support and
Yeah.
allowing me to
Well,
come
you know
on.
how we do. We
Absolutely.
family, and I mean that in every sense of the word, man. And by the way, did we show people your book? Did we talk about your book?
No, we didn't. We jumped right into it tonight.
Can we talk about your book just a second
Yeah,
so people can get it? Please go right ahead.
absolutely. Yeah, my book is available on Amazon. Namaste to Numbers. Really was inspired by Lloyd. You told me that I needed to write a book, and I just went back to thinking what could I possibly contribute to the field of numerology. There's so much that's already been written, and then looking at my context as a licensed and ordained minister. I've been my whole family's of preachers. I feel like it. My dad, grandfather. I mean, not the grandfather, but at least in that generation on my dad's side, we're talking about 5 generations deep of preachers.
Wow.
Looking at how to kind of even break out of some of that thinking and programming that I had that, the metaphysics and, religion and spirituality doesn't go together. So that's really what birthed this project where we talked about seeing God through numbers and looked at what are the examples of the definitions of each number throughout scripture. And then in the book, let's say if there are religious leaders or spiritual leaders, pastors, whatever, who get come into contact with this book, um, each church has a personal year because there's an incorporation date. And so if you know what cycle your church is in as a leader, you can say, let's say we're in a 6 personal year. That might be the year to focus on doing some sort of family work or family retreats and things of that nature, or being able to do some sort of renovations or redesigning of the church. If you're in a 1 year, that might be a year to focus on like cast a new vision to see where the direction of the church is going to go for like the next 9 years. So there are definitely ways that these principles can be applied, and not to take away from what they call biblical numerology, but this goes really to the classical 2 original systems of numerology using the Pythagorean system and the Chaldean system.
Brandon, the only thing I can say, buddy, is you are the best. And as I said, you'll always be my baby brother. You ain't got no choice about the matter. Okay, we family,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And before I do, please, in about another hour and change, please, for those of you, I mean, there was so much feedback about the Michael Jackson analysis we were doing. She is going to complete it. Queen Bee is having a very special at 10 o'clock. That's within, I'm looking about a little over an hour and a half from now. And so for those of you who want to see that, it's the conclusion. Numbers matter. The astro-numerical analysis of Michael Jackson. The brother was brilliant. The brother was extremely brilliant. And I can understand why he had some haters and enemies too, but that's it for another time. Brandon, you have a nice day, my brother. You take good care. I will see. By the way, Thursday, how can people see us on Thursday? You, Jackie,
Yeah.
Rebels Bay, and myself. How do
Yeah.
we look?
Yeah, if so, that is actually a very closed community. So not closed community, but we're on Zoom. So this way we have the chance to be able to talk back and forth to each other. I don't stream these sessions on social media or anything like that. So we will be in Zoom. So if persons are interested in joining us that evening, send me an email with 70 times 7 in the subject line, and we'll make sure that we get you hooked up. If you're interested in just being a part of that night, but you don't want to join the challenge, that's fine. Just let us know in that email. so that way we could just make sure that you have the link for.
Can they also contact you through the number on the screen?
Yes, yeah, or contact me through the number on the screen just to let me know that you're interested in joining the session on a Thursday evening, and we will start that Thursday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard.
Okay, good. Brandon, love you much, buddy. You the best. You my man.
Love you,
okay,
Brother Lloyd. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Take care. My bad about the lateness of the thing, but you know what I'm saying?
As long as it got up there, that's the important thing.
RJ. Everybody, all of you, take really good care of yourself. Obviously, Brandon's one of my buddies, but all my guests are very close. That's how I feel about it anyway. So everybody, I want all of you to take good care of yourselves. I'm going to have a new person on this coming Wednesday. Her name is Vonnie, and she is an iridologist, and believe it or not, quiet as it's kept, she's also a good astro-numerologist as well. So I'll let her decide whichever way she wants to do. But in the meantime, everybody, please take good care of yourselves. And I'll see you in a matter of, as they say, 24 hours. Bye.